right now, let's welcome Fawole Isreal. He is a policy research and development expert. Good morning, Fawole.
Hi, good morning. How are you
Good
today?
morning.
I'm fine.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's have your, what came to your mind? What first came to your mind when you saw the sacking, of course, and also the reshuffling of the ministers?
So what came to my mind was Mr. President is working, and it shows that there is what do you call it? There is a plan. There is a what do you call it? A scoring, what do you call it? System in place. Because I mean, one of the reasons why Mr. President has sacked the ministers, is because of their scorecard was not meeting up with the strategic roadmap for Mr. President. And within 1 year, when their strategic roadmap is not meeting up with what do you call it? The strategic plan, the goals governance of Mr. President. I mean, there is need to reshuffle, what do you call it, the cabinet. So I think it's a welcome idea and it's a very good development from Mr. President.
All right, some people in some other papers, some people are even calling for more sacking. What's your thought on that too?
I mean, that's feedback. It means the government is listening to. If people are calling for more sacking, I mean, the government should listen because that is the essence of democracy. There should be governance feedback. And if the feedback from the people about some ministries, some performance of some ministers or ministries, or there are some impunities in some ministries, is not making sense. I think the government should listen to them. I mean, to what the people are saying and take proactive, measures to put the right, what do you call it, the right peg, in a square hole.
Right. We know that the Guardian newspaper has this. We know that after the subsidy was removed, the floating of the naira, there's been a lot of economic hardship in the country. Now, in what appears to be the first phase of implementing the Oronsaye report, I don't know if you've read about that report, President Tinubu, in part of this reshuffling and everything, abolished the Ministry of Sports Development and the Niger Delta Ministry, although some persons have come out to say they would ensure that the Niger Delta Ministry is not scrapped. And this move has, drawn a lot of criticisms from stakeholders and from different opposition parties and opposition bodies. Let's get your perspective to the president's first phase of implementing this Oronsaye report, abolishing, or would I say, abolishing the Niger Delta Ministry particularly, and what we should expect from that. Would this be a very easy move to make?
Oh, okay. So about the politics of the process, I think Mr. President and his cabinet will know how to undo it. But talking about the implementation of Orosanye's report, like I said, it will not be a thing that will happen just as once. It will be happening bit by bit. And for me, genuinely, I think I would applaud Mr. President for scrapping the Ministry of Niger Delta and making it a development commission ministry that will manage all the development commissions that we have across the country. It's a very beautiful and fantastic idea, and I think it is welcome. It will really help us to be able to track, the pace of our development at regional level, and we also have traceable records, traceable achievements. This is what this ministry is doing. We have a minister who oversees the performance of each of the commissions. I think it's a very beautiful and fantastic, idea rather than we having, because basically what they are doing in Nigeria Data Ministry is also is development works, basically to look at the process and to facilitate development projects in the Niger Delta. And of course, we have other what do you call it? Other commissions that are doing the same work. So it makes logic when you see people, trying to say, oh, for political reasons or for personal whatever they're saying, oh, this should not be. So I think what Mr. President has done is very logical and it's a very, very good thing for, what do you call it, for our country, because it's going to cost, a lot of cost, and also it's going to help us to be able to track the rate, the pace of work of development across the geopolitical zones. It's a very fantastic, fantastic step and a very good one from Mr. President.
Right. One of the calls that Nigerians have been making ever since the president got into office was to reduce the cost of governance, operate a lean government. With this sacking and reappointment and rejig of the entire cabinet at large, would we say that we're towing towards the path of operating a lean government? Even though I'm trying to get that exact paper now. Yeah, the Daily Trust puts it that CSOs have come out to say the cabinet is still over bloated, even with this sacking. Let's get your thoughts, since we're trying to work with a lean government to reduce the cost of governance.
Okay, so I don't understand what we mean by concept of a lean government. We need people with capacity, with knowledge and experiences to drive the affairs of governance at each unit, at each ministry. The president has his own strategic roadmap to developing, to achieving the goals he has for Nigeria. So if he so wishes that this person is very competent and could bring the needed, skills, he has the needed skill set and could bring the needed development to a ministry, let him so appoint, such individual and such person. So running a lean government is not dependent on who is appointed or who is not appointed. But of course, we all know from your report, it would really help us to reduce cost of governance. And the only thing we can do is to continue to remind, people in the helm of affairs, people who the president listens to, even through the media, that the president must be committed, must be sincere towards the implementation of the Orosonye's report. That's like the only most effective way for us to cut cost of governance. Yeah. So that's what I think. Thank you.
How would you respond to CSO, civil society organizations, that are saying, even with all of this, the cabinet is still over bloated?
So when they are saying it's over-bloated, they should also say, how is it over-bloated? They should be able to give data. They should be able to give evidences to uphold the claims. Somebody cannot just come and say, oh, the cabinet is over-bloated. How? Why? What makes it over-bloated? So there must be actionable. What you say?
Fawole, if I may come in, from the Punch newspaper, President fired 5 and appointed 7. So there's 2 extra now that's been added.
Yes, that is in case of Ministry of Livestock, if I'm correct. Yeah. Ministry of Livestock. And you recall that Beta Edo had not been in office. Yeah. So there was a replacement for Beta Edo.
Okay. All
Continue. Right. You were making a point.
We all could see the portfolio of the ministers that were sacked. Do we want to talk about, the gross advertisement of incompetencies by the Minister for Youth, Dr. Bio Jamila? Do we want to start from that? I want to start talking about the also serious groping incompetencies on the part of the outgone Minister of Education. I want to talk about the dramas that surrounds the Minister for Women Affairs, or the other ministers we don't even know they exist. I mean, we can start talking about all of these things. They are not far-fetched from us. The data are everywhere. The reports are everywhere.
Right. We saw some sort of jubilation and excitement, particularly in regards to the Minister of Women Affairs and personal barrister Uju Ken Ohane. Let's get you, because it was very, obvious. When I saw the video, people were really excited over her dismissal, her removal. Let's get your perspective on that exactly. Would we say that, okay, the president picked the brains or the thoughts of people, or let's get your thoughts on that particularly?
Okay, so sometimes, yeah, people's personal approach to addressing, problems and issues, I mean, we might not have control over their emotions, over their temperament, yeah. I would not, judge, our competencies, but I have seen a very, very, very blunt person who will say it as it is. And sometimes, the affair of leadership and governance sometimes require you to be, to be diplomatic. There was a day I was seeing one video where she went to, an event, and was telling them that what she wants people to do with the funding, with the grant they are getting, is to go to the streets and really make impact, not using millions of nairas. I mean, when I mean millions of dollars, millions of naira, organizing trainings. How does this translate into impact? I mean, you can see somebody who is making an objective, point, but our approach, is it the best? Going to an event and interrupting, disrupting, a process that has already commenced? She has said what really made sense, that, oh yes, you have 300 million naira, we have 700 million naira, and you are saying you are using it to organize a 7 days training for people who are already okay, people who have career clarity already, people who are really doing well in their career. When there are girls on the streets who doesn't even have what to eat, who doesn't even have the money to afford to go to school. I mean, that makes a lot of sense that, okay, this money you have, this funding you have should be translated into impact and touch lives of the commoners, not organizing trainings where, I mean, these things don't end. It made a lot of sense. But what was our approach?
All right,
So
Fawole.
these are issues.
I like
Thank you.
I like us to move away from that a bit, and let's look at this headline from Punch newspaper. The Federal Executive Council has okayed $618 million loan for fighter jets and ammunition. This comes just days after the International Monetary Fund said that Nigeria's debt is too high. We've gone overboard. How do you respond to this? Why are we still, it's like we keep borrowing at every turn, every month, every week, we keep borrowing.
It is a very sad thing that, I mean, we run a country that is blessed as Nigeria on loan. I mean, it's not a good thing that every small thing we need to do, we borrow to fund security, to fund health, to fund education. It's a very unfortunate thing. But I want to genuinely believe that Mr. President's economic recovery plan over time will yield results. I genuinely want to believe that.
Right.
I mean, over time would yield results.
All right. So, but how are we going to be able to pay these loans? That's what matters the most. That's the most important thing. Borrowing these loans to fix the economy, fine. But how are we going to pay it back? Because over time, we've seen different administration come in and meet huge amount of debt. I mean, different governors have complained that they met different amount of debt in their.
But let's quickly take.
Let's quickly take this call. Michael from Abuja. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. How is it?
Fine.
Please share your thoughts.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you. Please go on. Please share your thoughts.
Okay, I want to ask the guest analysis, talking about cutting down the cost of governance and appointing 7 releasing partners of their duties. Can Nigeria ever cut down the cost of governance without going to the National Assembly, the sitting allowances, what they earn, wardrobe allowances, and all of that? Can we cut down the cost of governance without touching this area? Or is it too maybe something that cannot be touched by the president? Because I don't think ministers, you are dropping 5, you are appointing 7, and you are saying we are cutting down the cost of governance. And we have National Assembly who's sitting allowance per month is even more than to feed 20 Nigerians.
Right. Thank you
You
so
don't have
much.
to cut down the cost of governance.
Thank you, Michael.
I just want to know.
All right, thank you. So Isreal Fawole, I don't know if you heard Michael's question, so you can respond to it. He's talking about the emoluments and the benefits that those at the helm of affairs, our senators, our ministers, are receiving: hardship allowance, newspaper allowance, entertainment allowance, and what have you. Why don't we start from there in terms of cutting down cost of governance? So let's get your response to that.
So talking about all of these things, I mean, it makes no sense that a senator is getting newspaper allowance, getting wardrobe allowance, getting hardship allowance. I mean, it makes no sense, literally. But anybody who is in the National Assembly, who has the interest here of the country and of the people he or she is representing, can voluntarily say, no, I'm not collecting this money. I mean, it is possible.
We've never seen anything like that happen. So how is that going to come to the fore?
Yeah, so each and every one of us have, I mean, we belong to a particular political setting. I mean, either from the state, from the local government, and all of those things. So we should all start from our local government during electionary campaigns. These are issues we should raise. I mean, these are some of the problems during electionary processes. When we have people aspiring for offices, these are problems we have. These are issues we should raise with the aspirant. Oh, these are the issues that we feel is not making sense. We have seen, I mean, the past government done this. Would you be able to do this? Can you assure us that when you get there, you will do this? And all of, so these are processes that we need to start during our
Isreal Fawole, wouldn't I say that this is very easy to say because it's not being practiced? Yeah, just about 6 days ago, we had a senator in person of Senator Orji Uzor-Kalu, who came out to say it takes about 14 million monthly, and it's not even enough for him. So how do you now, say that somebody like that would listen and say, okay, I'm not taking this benefit, I'm not taking this and that. We are operating in a system where it feels like that's the foundation. I don't, how possible is it for these people to say, I don't want to take this, I don't want to take that. Sometimes they say if you cannot beat them, you join them. Isn't that what we see in most of these cases?
Oh, okay, so this is why I was referring to the participation of people also being able to come out and say, let me say this, some of the problems we have, political issues we have, are born out of another injustices. You see, when there is a political office holder, the request that comes from the community, oh, that is the time the mosque, the church, the secondary school, the community will know that they have somebody and they'll be making, do I call it unnecessary political demand? And these are political liabilities, on the part of this, let us be sincere, on these office holders. I mean, for them to continue to be relevant, they have to start managing these political liabilities that comes with for them, which were originally not there before they got into public office. So, and that is why some of these fundings is used to actually also, let's be honest with this, it's also being used to manage political liabilities that comes with being in an office. Right. You see, an honorable will go and eat in a puka, and because he's an honorable, people see him as an honorable, they feel, oh, he should pay for their food because he's an honorable. But if he was not holding that same office, he would go with his family to a puka to eat amala, and nobody will feel compared, or nobody will feel that guy is stingy. He's an honorable. He's not spending money for us.
All right.
I don't know if that makes some sense to you. So these are injustices that are social. Yeah, they are born out of another injustices.
All right, Israel, I would like to ask you 2 questions. The first one, I'm sure you've heard about this, the bill of splitting Oyo into 2, Oyo and Ibadan into 2. It passed second reading. What's your thought about that? Then secondly, this rather shocking headline from the Punch, 12-state delay 30,000 naira minimum wage for teachers. 30,000, we're not even talking 70,000. How would you react to these 2 questions?
So the idea that teachers are not even well paid in Nigeria is a very unfortunate thing. It is really, really, really unfortunate. It is really, really, really unfortunate. And any serious government must take into cognizance the welfare of our workers, especially the teachers, because they are the ones who build the future of tomorrow. The quality of investment we have in our teachers is what determines the quality of education, quality of students that we have. I mean, we saw what Lateef Jakonde did in Lagos. He invested in the quality of teachers, their welfare, and look at the results we have. And that was what Soludo was saying the other day. It is not about investing and building schools and giving students books. It's also about investing in the teachers. So I think governments at state level, at local government level, at federal level should be very intentional to invest heavily, in teachers. Saying that this is how much you'll be paying teachers is really unfortunate. That's 30,000 naira in this present economy. I mean, it is really awful.
Right.
So I think that should be looked into by the state and relevant stakeholders.
Right. Just before we wrap up the conversation, earlier, not too long ago, 70,000 naira was approved as the minimum wage, of which we've seen 2 states for now, which is Lagos and Rivers, go above that 70,000 naira. And earlier, we had a statement, I'm trying to remember her name, where they talked about people that do not pay their workers the 70,000 naira. This was coming from the federal government, could risk jail term. How about we start from the governors and the state governments that are not paying 70,000 naira or are still owing 30,000 naira? How should they be, if I could use the word, dealt with, or what kind of punishment can be put in place for these states to ensure that everybody is working within the law of 70,000 naira that has been approved?
Thank you. So that is where the labor union comes in. They have struggled, they have the judiciary to run to when the governors are not complying with with what has been said. So the labor union have a lot of work to do. They must continue to maintain the integrity of what those unions are supposed to be. They are not supposed to be political stooges on that government.
But people have lost hope. People have lost hope in labor union, saying that the NLC has been compromised, and they don't even believe that NLC is fighting for their own interest. So how would this balance up?
So I mean, people should take actions. I mean, how do they take actions? Right, National Assembly, follow up with demonstrations and protests where necessary, right, the Attorney General of the country, for attention of necessary relevant stakeholders. National Assembly, who is supposed to oversee, what do you call it, implementation of what the law should be, their lawmakers, implementation. So there should be good rapport between the people, the legislative arm of government, the judiciary, and the executive arm of government. And one of the issues that we have genuinely is that we, how do I put this in Nigeria? We really, we don't, I don't know how to put it. Our governors, so our political officers, when they are coming into office, they don't come with any solid manifesto, and we try to hold them by is that, oh yeah, you said you are going to do this and you didn't come. Look at the US, for example. I mean, the policies they are going to do, these are at the point of debate. But I mean, like political process here, during electionary processes, how many people even sit down to talk about the, the intellectual processes and the implementation strategies for the policies they have in mind? Just come and they do things, haphazardly and how they want. There's a vocal war. We know that. However, sometimes, why did I use the word vocal? Sometimes before you get into office, you might be saying some things, and after you get into office, another reality. Yeah. What a normal person or a normal leader should do, right, is to call a meeting, call relevant stakeholders. This is the situation of things. It will take us, so we have looked at this. In 6 months, we thought we'd be able to do this, but however, 6 months is not enough for us. Within 1 year, we'll be able to do this. We need cooperation of relevant stakeholders. So one of the things we lack is, I don't know if it's sacrifice, if it's all being intentional about our own development, but the people must be conscious.
Right.
It is enough that the people are dormant in their own political process, in their own development process. So people must be conscious and take relevant actions. I mean, a lot of channels are there for people to register their displeasures about governance activity,
right,
national level, judiciary level. Thank you.
So we're talking about a high sense of consciousness from the people, the citizens. That's a fantastic place to wrap up the conversation this morning. Thank you so much for joining us, Isreal Fawole. It's been a delight and a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Bye.